Spring is in the air, so let's take a look at the Ohio State Buckeyes. The standard does not change in Columbus. Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, compete for national titles. Ryan Day now has gone 0 for 2 in his last 2 tries, but this year there's still a lot of excitement. The standard does not change in Columbus, Ohio. So what are some things that we need to take a closer look at as we get into spring football for the Buckeyes? Want to preview some things, want to question some things. And the first question on everybody's mind is who's playing quarterback? You have 2 5-stars, Devin Brown and Kyle McCord. Now, people close to that program have told me that it is Kyle McCord's job to lose. But make no mistake, it will be a quarterback battle. They will have a full-on QB derby in Columbus, Ohio. Both guys can absolutely sling the rock, and you've heard me say it on this program before. Whoever is driving the offense for Ohio State is driving a Ferrari. And Ohio State is not going to go the speed limit. They're not going to just hand the ball off and play ground control and say, we got a new quarterback. That's okay. We'll just kind of ease you into it. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside. He needs to see the football consistently. If you can't drive this Ferrari 85 plus, that's not how we're getting down. All right, so who's playing quarterback? Who can handle that horsepower is one of the first things we're looking at. One way to track this over at Letterman Row, our Ohio State On 3 site. They'll have all the intel for you. Tim May, Spencer Holbrook, they do a phenomenal job over there, as well as the other phenomenal individuals we have covering Ohio State on that site. So make sure you have a membership there. Make sure you're subscribed here. But why is this so important? Why is it so important to have a quarterback or have the quarterback at Ohio State? Because the way that they do things, like I just said a minute ago, they put a lot on your plate. Ohio State has had successful quarterbacks for as long as I can remember. Okay? They have somebody back there that can deal the football. So a lot of your success as a team, much less as an offense, is predicated on the quarterback play. They're not trying to shelter you at all if you're under center in Columbus, Ohio. Now, Kyle McCord has a little bit more experience in Columbus. Devin Brown, talent coming out of his ears. So we'll see how they match up during the spring. And again, this is going to be something that we just kind of have to take a pulse of, because I don't think we'll get a concrete answer until we get into fall camp. Just the way Ryan Day does things. We probably won't get a starter named until closer to game 1. But however, with both of these guys being 5-star caliber players, you would imagine if one guy is taking the majority of the reps, there will be some sort of buzz around the program. Okay, so keep an eye on Letterman Row and make sure you're locked in here, because we'll have the intel for you. But obviously, whoever's playing quarterback for the Buckeyes will be paramount to their success and how they do things offensively. If you're not yet subscribed, would love to have you a part of this. We've had a ton of the Ohio State faithful join us here in the last few months, so thank you for that. And if you haven't yet joined us and subscribed, no time like the present. All right, we are live tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it. Also, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter at JDPakel. Appreciate y'all in advance for that. Now, how does the offense look under Brian Hartline? Because remember, Ryan Day took the sticks, passed to Brian Hartline and said, it's your show now, man. It's your show now. I'm going to kind of manage this thing as a CEO. Brian Hartline's going to be the OC. And the reason why I have this circled and underlined is because Brian Hartline was previously the receivers coach, and you just can't change where you're from. And what I mean by that is Brian Hartline, in his heart of hearts, no pun intended, wants to throw the rock. He wants to do the aerial assault. He wants to get vertical. Now, they still have Travion Henderson and Mine Williams. They will see a healthy dose of the football. Make no mistake about it. They will still be a core part of every game plan. But Ohio State a season ago, they were 47% pass on the year. What does that tell you? They were a run-first football team. I don't expect the production to change at Ohio State. Still expect over 40 points a game. Still expect them to be a all gas, no brakes kind of offense. I don't expect it to be a wildly different scheme. But do we see them maybe put just a little bit more of an emphasis on pushing the ball vertical? Do we see Marvin Harrison Jr. become a little bit more of a point in this offense, which is saying something for how much of a baller he was last year and how productive he was last year? Do we see them try to push the ball downfield just a touch more? Again, I'm not saying it's going to be an overhaul of the offense, but with Emeka Egbuka, with Marvin Harrison Jr., with all the guys they have in this offense on the outside, and Brian Hartline's background being a receiver himself in the NFL at one point in time, you can't change where you're from. And where Brian Hartline is from is the vertical pass game. So do we see that sprinkled in just a little bit more? I'd be excited to see it. Going back to the quarterback position, they're going to have somebody who can do that for you, because Brian Hartline, I think, could maybe just sprinkle a little bit more of that vertical pass game in there. But again, we're just going to get a temperature for it during spring football. Just kind of going to get a feel for it. It's not an absolute, but just a feel and the murmur around what is the offense's flavor during spring football under Brian Hartline as the new OC. Now, the thing that we got to track in juxtaposition of that is the defense. And the defense was better than it was in 2021 and 2022. But the goal was still the same. You got to beat Michigan. And there were multiple occasions where you saw breakdowns defensively. You can tag it as a mental toughness thing. You can tag it as a physical toughness thing. What I saw was one-on-one battles in the secondary from Ohio State, either be a busted coverage or just straight up get beat. Now, the good news for Ohio State is, in terms of sharpening the sword, in terms of being able to get a good look during practice, whenever they go good on good at Ohio State, whenever it's the one defense versus the one offense, this defensive back unit will not see a better opponent the entirety of the year than what they see in practice. So how do they progress? What is the report out of spring ball during the spring game? Are they saying, yeah, hey, you know what? The Ohio State receiving corps, probably best in the country. But that secondary, man, they went toe-to-toe all spring camp. They won their fair share of practices. Or is it, hey, man, the Ohio State receiving corps, they just do what they do and nobody can stop them? If that's the kind of word you have out of spring camp, I would have a little bit of pause about this secondary. The secondary's got some players now. Do not get it twisted. But that would give me some concern, because you're going up against the same guys every single day. You know their tendencies. You get a ton of cracks at them competitively in terms of one-on-one situations and good on good. So just kind of the feel around how that wide receiver and DB battle looks throughout spring ball. I would like to read, if I'm an Ohio State fan on Letterman Row, that the DBs are giving the receiving corps all they can handle. They're playing with an edge. They're playing physical. They're in position. They're jockeying, going back and forth in one-on-one battles. Like, that's the kind of thing I would like to read if I'm an Ohio State fan. Now, on the other side of that, the offensive line for Ohio State, you know you replace some pieces. And this defense at Ohio State with Jim Knowles, Cornell alum, is going to be a mad scientist in how he brings pressure. He doesn't play an orthodox defense. And so why that's important is, if you don't have your P's and Q's in the right spot as an offensive lineman, this defense will bring pressure from every which spot on the field and confuse you. So how does the Ohio State offensive line progress next year, and with replacing some key pieces, look during spring ball? Is it, hey, we're all out of sorts, a lot of different confusing blitzes coming during spring, even if they are putting in their base concepts? How do they look? What is the temperature of this offensive line? What I would like to read, again, going back to spring intel, what I would like to hear from the good folks at Ohio State is, yes, some new pieces, still getting their feet wet, but they're quick learners. They're taking the coaching well. They're adapting well. That would be something that would give me some encouragement and some excitement if I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan. So for Ohio State, those are the key pieces that I wanted to preview and also ask a couple questions about as we get more and more into the spring season. College football, again, I don't care what the groundhog says. I don't care what the calendar says, what your mama says. College football is back. All right? Keep it locked right here. If you're watching the show, you're likely a diehard like us. College football every single day on this channel. Again, we are live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Hit the bell to make sure you're notified. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Jody Pacau. I'll let you know when we're going live. But we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Spring football is here, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.